Morning, Jared. Does that just make it worse? Hey, Curtis, Metal Man. How are we all? Finish this trade? No, hell no. Still as forged, unfortunately. Yeah, it'll be a while before I get around to working on this. I got a whole bunch of other stuff to work on. Sorry I'm a little late today. Had a bit of a slow start to the morning. Hey Matt, Brad, Aaron, how are we? I'm okay. Okay. Oh well. There you go. He'll be there next time. Morning, Wiley. Yeah. So we're working a gigantic billet for this little baby forge today. Morning, Aaron Finn. How are we going? My hammers. Are you talking to me, Matt? I'm not sure which hammers you're talking about. I have a whole bunch of hammers that I'm supposed to be making, but I haven't even started them yet. And the hammer that I started in that live stream a while back is still in the process of being made. I don't even know where it is now. Andy came over and cleaned up for me, which means that everything's exactly where it should be, which means that I can't find it. There it is. Talking about this hammer. Oh, I haven't finished it yet. Don't ask me if I've finished anything, because I haven't finished anything this week. I barely finished my coffee in the morning. Morning, Bobby. Organized chaos, yeah. Mine's organized chaos without the organization. Hey Wayne, I hope you feel better, man. I know those feelings, trust me, too well. I definitely don't, Jared. I've still got that 5-pound bag of Beyond Black. I still haven't started that yet. I'm almost done with all the small bags now. Yeah, fair enough. This week kicked my ass. I don't know. Yeah. It's been a week, guys. It's been a week. I'm sure none of you noticed because, you don't care that much. But I didn't upload a video this week. So, yeah, I apologize for no content this week. I have a couple of videos in the works, but they haven't come to fruition yet. Where is my borax? Oh, there it is. Mainly because I've been lazy as hell. Yeah, Wiley, it's been like that, honestly. Fuck, it's like that's what I'm drinking this morning, actually. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot of work on my Twitch channel, mainly because I haven't really been feeling any kind of energy until like 9 o'clock at night, and so that hasn't been prime forging time, but I've been able to do a lot of engraving work, which has been good because it means that I'm getting a lot of practice in, which is what I wanted. But that fleur-de-lis hammer is just kind of a... I can't put the chocolate in it, Jared. I'm diabetic. It's now beyond the point where I can do that, unfortunately. Hey, Gibberon. Well, I'll have to take your word for it, unfortunately. No, cheat days don't exist. Cheat days are for thems that cheat. No, I don't get those jelly beans from the chemist. I love those things too, but unfortunately I'm the kind of diabetic that doesn't need more sugar. Morning, Gordon. Paralysis through analysis, yep. I get a lot of that. Hey, Chris. Yeah, no, this week has been one of those weeks where I have a list of things a mile long that I need to be doing, and yet none of it, like, I can't tell which one I'm supposed to do first, and so then you spend most of your time worrying about if you're doing the right thing or not, and you end up not doing anything at all. Yeah, and Heel will end up dead or blind by the time he's 60, because metformin only increases your uptake of insulin. It doesn't actually fix the problem, and what can happen is that the longer you're on metformin, your body gets used to uptaking smaller amounts of insulin, and your body basically runs out of insulin. And so a lot of people who are on metformin a lot but also continue to eat lots of carbohydrates tend to then become insulin dependent, and they have to start injecting themselves with insulin every fucking 3 times a day. I don't want to get to that stage. So yeah, I have type 2 diabetes, and I'm on a ketogenic diet, so carbohydrates are just a no-go for me. Technically I'm not full ketogenic because that's below 20 grams of carbohydrates a day. I'm normally sitting around 40 to 50, which is kind of low carb, high fat stuff. So yeah, and that's the thing, is at the end of the day, metformin isn't a magic diabetes pill. It's literally just an aid to increase insulin uptake. And if you're not doing the right things diet-wise, then you're going to end up with complications due to diabetes, and complications due to diabetes are friggin' horrifying. So I'm going to stick to trying to fix my body naturally. I was on metformin for a while. Yeah, Metal Man. It sounds easier than it's easy to say. It's hard to do when your mind's running a million miles an hour. This week has been just such a shit show. I still have bars of steel that I'm supposed to be sending to Alex, and then I've had them ready to go for a week, and I haven't done it. Yeah, no, I've had a couple of people cancel orders on me and stuff like that this week because I just haven't been keeping up with orders, and yeah, not feeling the greatest about myself. Yeah, well, that's it, Aaron. If you're a well-practiced diabetic and you eat the right thing and all that kind of stuff, then you won't have the issues that a lot of people do. One of the issues that with type 2 diabetics is that they don't really change their diet or their exercise habits or anything like that. When they get the diagnosis, they just keep going about life as usual while taking metformin, and all that does is just slow down the degradation of your body, but the body still degrades. I'm trying to avoid that as much as I can. Unfortunately, my mind is something I'm having trouble stopping from degrading. I lose interest in the middle of a project every project that I make, to be honest. Yeah, I run out of gas. I'll start with an idea and I'll be like fully passionate. I'll be right into it. I'll want to do it so much that I will stay up nights thinking about it, and then I'll get started and it'll be awesome for like 5 minutes, and then suddenly I'll be like, wait, this is going to be a lot of work. Now I don't want to do it anymore. I also suffer from what I call deer in the headlights syndrome, which is I'll look at a project and I'll know how much work's in it, or I'll know how complicated it is, and that'll just make me not want to do it. Like it'll make me look at it and freeze like a deer in the headlights. Hey Sean. Oh yeah, every move forward. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm undiagnosed, Aaron. So, you know, could be a thing. I'm turning down lots of commissions at the moment. God. Yeah, Jared. It is when it gets to those technical, complicated, fiddly bits where you're like, everything needs to fit together perfectly and everything needs to finish up perfectly. That's when it really gets you. When I do a knife build, the forging goes fast as hell. Pre-heat treat grinding, fast as hell. Like I can get that stuff smashed out in 4 hours. Hand sanding, I can smash that out. But the moment I get to heat treat, the moment I get to handle fitting, that's it. It's over. It's all over. Nothing's happening. Alright, so I pre-fluxed this billet before we went into the forge, but I'm just going to flux it again a little bit, just because I pre-fluxed it last night while it was still hot from welding, because I was at least that smart to pre-weld up my billet last night so that I didn't have to rush this morning. We got a nice big billet this week. I'm going to do some cross W's. Figured we want to use a fair bit of Damascus. Plus, I just got an order of a massive chunk of 15 and 20. So, having all that extra steel lying around definitely makes it need a weight to hang off the end of this. Like a weight with a hook. What do I have that's a hook? Well, that's a hook. But then I have nothing to hang off the hook. Wonder is. Small wheel attachment's got to be good for something. So, what I just did is not what's advised. The handle on the Damascus billet's too short, so I've just hung the small wheel attachment off the back end so that it sits straight. Because if I don't, then what happens is this falls down into the bottom of the forge. Not the most elegant solution. I'd much rather not have my small wheel attachment in direct line of the forge. But I wonder if these are heavy enough. Something tells me they're probably not. Oh, they are. There you go. That works. Hey Adam, I'm using your tongs. Those are the tongs that Barclay, yeah, I do. Those are the tongs that Speargrass Forge made me. Oh, that always sucks, Bobby. Absolutely. I'm starting with 13 layers. No, I don't think they would. Custom's a bit weird, but I don't think they will. Yeah, handguards and handles get me every time. Yeah, that happens a lot, Gordon. Hey, Talon, how we going? Borax is bubbling. So we're going to be doing up the weld in Preston. So got the flat dies on. Preston makes this kind of job stupidly easy, so have to excuse me while I adjust the camera. Yeah, 1084, 15 and 20 mix. The 15 and 20 is 2.5 millimeters thick. The 1084 is 3.2 millimeters thick. So 15 and 20 is basically 1075 or thereabouts, but with a whole bunch more nickel. Uh, 15N20 is commonly used in industrial bandsaw blades for woodworking workshops because the nickel increases its stain resistance. So yeah, it's basically 1075 with slightly higher stain resistance. The nickel increases wear resistance to a certain extent, but it also increases stain resistance, so it's good for a lot of guys who make carbon steel filleting knives and stuff like that will use 15N20 because it is slightly more stain resistant. In a practical sense, 15N20 is a great, starter steel because it is similar to 1075 in that it heat treats relatively easy. 1080 is fantastic to use. 1080 is a eutectoid steel, so it's right in the sweet spot. You can get pretty bendy, and that's because it's that medium carbon steel. It's that spring level of steel. 1080 is fantastic. It's very forgiving in the forge weld, and very forgiving in the heat treat, like super forgiving in the heat treat. 1084, 1080, and 1085 are all eutectoid steels, or around the eutectic, so they're relatively easy to heat treat. Oil, definitely oil. So ADCRV2 is a chrome vanadium steel. It's similar in alloy composition to stuff like 5160, but yeah, you'll get much increased. You'll get much increased elasticity in the material. So ADCRV2 will get a higher hardness than say 5160, but will retain the elasticity, the flexibility of 5160. So it's kind of best of both worlds when it comes to shock absorbent steels. That's why a lot of guys that make like swords and big choppers and stuff like that are now moving to ADCRV2 because they want that higher hardness for the edge retention, but they also want to maintain that flexibility of what they would normally get out of 5160. I have yet to play with too much ADCR V2, but I'm looking forward to getting some at some point. I know Jason Knight raves about it all the time, so... You didn't order the 01? Oh no. Yeah, so you can go from a medium or a high-speed quench oil on 1080 and get a decent hormone if you use clay. Same with 1075, same with 1085, 1084. 1084 is a little bit different because it's got a very high manganese content, so you won't get a lot of activity out of the hormone, but you will get a hormone, as I've proven, because I've made a hormones on 1084 before. Yeah. So the borax is hubble bubbling away pretty good. I'm just letting it soak in heat for a bit because I want to make sure that I'm definitely going to get a forge weld in the first pass. Because the last thing we want is for the forge weld to fail. Road tool preferences are Horton's K, which is the high speed version of Horton's. I wish we had Parks 50. Kind of 6-1, half dozen the other mat. You're kind of one of those things where, you know, it really doesn't matter either way. 15 and 20 is good because it's slightly more stain resistant, but they're basically both the same steel. The only difference is the nickel content in 15 and 20. So if you have 15 and 20, use it. If you have 1075, use it. It's not going to make a massive difference. That's what I'm here for, Sean. High grade bolts. So normally bolt material is somewhere around 4140 or 1045 or something that's in that low carbon range. Sometimes high chromium, sometimes a little bit of molybdenum in there. And that's good for like hammers and stuff and drifts and punches and stuff, but it's not very good for knives. Morning Bob, morning Byron. Yeah, I've used bolt stock for making like hammer eye drifts and stuff in the past. I have a whole bunch of bolt stock out there at the moment that I got gifted. Yeah, we're bubbling. Bubble, bubble. See if I can capture it on camera. Go through the jaws of the Tom. That's what we're looking for in a Damascus billet. Ah, come on. You can see that bubbling like butter on a hot pan. That's what we want out of a Damascus billet in a gas forge. It's all one uniform temperature. Morning, Gary Brown. How you going? Okay, let's swing back over to Preston. And now we shall bring the steel out and weld it. Yeah, it's difficult getting that shot. You gotta get the balance right. White balance. Okay. So this is gonna be a really quick pass. So I'm gonna do like 2 squishes. I just want to set the weld, and then we'll go straight back in for another heat. Bigger billets are great because they hold the heat for a bit longer. But I really want to put some squish on that bar to make sure that those welds set. I'm going to scrub off the scale quickly and reflux it. You know what fluxing looks like. If I had a cameraman, it would be easier, but you know, we make do with what we got. key advantages to welding in a press over welding with a hammer is that you get full penetration of the pressure. One of the problems I see when people weld up Damascus billets is that they are a little too circumspect in their they're a little too circumspect in their use of force. A lot of people will tell you that in order to weld up something you need to do lots of light taps on a Damascus billet. That's a lie. The thing about Damascus is the reason that light taps are encouraged is because you're talking about accuracy. One of the biggest issues that you have in welding up Damascus, wish I had a visual, I have a freaking whiteboard, what am I talking about? Let's bring over the whiteboard. Oh, the chalkboard, I should say. Make sure to hit that like button. Just ignore my light fitting for a second. Okay, so one of the issues that people run into when welding up Damascus is that, say this is your billet that you've pulled fresh out of the forge. Most people will start hitting it and they'll try and hit for center, but a lot of the time they'll hit along the side, right? Say your billet's about as wide as your hammer face. If your hammer face is tilted this way, then you're going to hit down this side. And then if you tilt the hammer face the other way, you're going to hit down this side, which is going to create this big void in the center. And unfortunately, once borax is trapped, it cannot weld. Right? Borax does not force welding. What it does is get rid of oxides. So if it's trapped, the borax will prevent the weld. So what you need to do is, instead of going for the outsides first, you want to travel from about here at the rear. You want to hammer blow up to the top. Then you want to turn this way, down, across, and then up again. And what that'll do is squish everything out to the sides as you come, and then you can weld the sides up. And when you're forging, this is your billet on the side. If you only lightly tap the billet, what ends up happening is you get this. If this is happening, then you're not putting force into the center layers. And if the center layers aren't getting force, they're not welding. What you should be seeing is this. That was a terrible drawing. My apologies. You should see the sides swelling out at the middle, because that means that the force is being completely pushed through from the hammer and completely pushed through from the anvil. So when you're welding Damascus, instead of going for your lightest hammer and lots of light taps, go for a nice heavy hammer, something that's got a lot of force behind it, and give it some really good smacks. Send those sparks flying. Get that stuff absolutely smashed. Because you need the force of this compression to force out the borax. If you're not forcing that borax out, the borax is going to actually prevent your weld. Now in a forge press, I don't have that issue, because I can just you know, hit it. I can just hit it with the 20-ton press, and I get that compression through the entire billet, through the compression of the billet with the ram. And because it's a consistent pressure rather than an explosive pressure, I'm not going to bounce the layers apart accidentally. And most of the time, your layers bouncing apart means that you haven't got to welding temperature. The main difference between Damascus and two pieces of mild steel is that mild steel doesn't have the carbon to segregate to create the hard martensitic scale that occurs on carbon steels, and carbon steels with their addition of carbon have a lower melting point than mild steel. So what ends up happening is that as you heat up the mild steel, you can heat it to a much higher temperature than the carbon steel to weld, which means that the scale liquidizes, which means that you can weld them without flux. Use the chicken as my camera guy. So yeah, it's really important that you manage to get that force all the way through the billet in order to get really good welds. Kyle Royer, when he was doing his keynote speech at Blade Symposium, said basically that you're looking for about a quarter inch of movement in the billet, quarter to a half inch of movement in the billet in your welding phase. Now, of course, the bigger your billet, the more force is required. But the bigger your billet, the longer it will hold welding temperature. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, forge welding individual pieces into larger billets is one of those interesting kind of fiddly areas of forging. Not a lot of people do. I mean, no more people are doing it now. Just like when they forge it. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, anvils could hold their welding temperature for up to 45 minutes, depending on the size of the anvil. Step on the pedal and let it rip. That's it. Yeah, I never really got the whole, small lots of taps. Like tiny taps on your Damascus, because the majority of the guys that do Damascus professionally will use a hydraulic press or a forging power hammer, and they're not going gentle on it. Like they go hard, and there's a reason for it. Is that because they're trying to force those faces together, and you can't force those faces together if you. I've seen quite a few blacksmith channels on YouTube where they're trying to weld up Damascus, and you can see them tap 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 with a tiny hammer, and then when they get to the finished piece, a lot of the time they'll have weld flaws and delaminations in it, and like we've all had weld flaws, we've all had delaminations. I still get them to this day, although since welding the Preston I haven't had that problem. Fold and weld night taps? Nope, just smash that stuff. Yes, so presses do suck out more heat, but the thing is that if your press should be fast enough that it should be welding those things before it's sucking the heat out of them. Yeah, quick hard taps. Not so much taps as blows. I might do a hand forging Damascus stream at some point. Smash it like you smash the like button. Exactly. I may do a hand forging Damascus stream if that's something that people are interested in. Obviously it's fun with the press, but yeah, we can do a small billet Damascus by hand. So what I'll be looking for in this heat is I'm doing the same thing. I want about a quarter inch of movement, but then I'm going to be looking for discoloration. If the steel parts are cooling down at different temperatures, at different rates, then they haven't welded. Really need my didymium lens goggles. Staring into the welding temperature forge is not good for my eyes. Yes, someone did just say forge weld. We've been doing a lot of forge welding talk right now. One of the biggest issues you'll run into as a blacksmith using a gas forge, I'll never have to worry about my eyes again. Yeah, we just did the first forge weld on the billet. Now, one of the things that a lot of people run into, one of the problems that a lot of people run into when running gas forges, especially doing forging, is that they don't have a neutral atmosphere. Yeah, maybe, yeah, fair enough. The reason I want didymium lenses is because they're definitely they're a lot easier to see through than sunglasses in a dark workshop, and they're specifically designed to protect from infrared and ultraviolet. Thank you, Metal Man. Hand Damascus, absolutely. Well, now that you've paid me for it, I mean, I have to do it. Hey, Cat. So for those of you who don't know what didymium lenses are, they're the same lenses that are used in the glasses for glass blowing and stuff like that, where they're having to constantly stare into the kiln. So yeah, I have a set of goggles on the way, the steampunk style ones that Alex used to wear back in the day. And I ordered a pair of didymium lenses for them, so I can stare into my forge while I'm doing forge welding without having to worry about burning my retinas, which is what I'm doing right now. It won't hurt me in the short run, but you know, over the long run, I want to preserve my, you know, my corneas. Oh yes, the YouTube taxes me 45% of all super chats. That's why if you want to make a donation and not have it go to YouTube, my PayPal pay me link is down in the description below. Thanks to Aaron Finn. Yeah, and that's pretty good. I mean, like you can go a little overboard and go with like these welding goggle lenses, like, you know, they work, but you know, it looks like I'm looking through a set of binoculars right now. It really narrows your field of view. But yeah, these work. And then obviously you have the flip up lenses so that you can see normal stuff. Yeah, 45%. It's pretty sick. That whole stream. These are stupidly uncomfortable because they're cheap. When I get my steampunk goggles, I'll wear them. I bought those for doing welding. Yeah, I only use them for torch cutting and welding. Just huckle around them. Yeah, that's not comfortable, trust me. But no, I have the didymium lenses will be a lot better. The problem with those as well is that they are very dark, so they do darken your atmosphere around you, which is much harder to see things. Okay, I think we're about... Yes, they are indeed protective brand from Buddies. You got it in one, Aaron. Okay, let's zoom in a little. So again, we're going to go for about a 1/4 inch, maybe a little less, movement in the bar. because you've got to remember we're drawing this out sideways. We're not drawing this out in line with the laminate because we want to make crushed W's. Oh, it would help if he's on. Hold your welding heat. There we go. And heavens, it's a very heavy billet. Let's just scrape off some of that oxide. I'd say we're pretty well welded. I can normally just tell by looking. I'm just going to give it a quick scrub with the block brush. That looks good. So we're all welded, it's all solid. So now what I'm going to do is throw it back in the forge. We're going to square up the billet a little bit because it's a little bit thinner here than it is this way. So I'm going to go on the side, do that. Once it's square, we're going to go on the 45. And then we're going to re-square the bar. Then we're going to draw out the bar horizontally so that these layers here are on the sides of the bar. I'm not going to bother refluxing it at this point because if the welds haven't held by now, they ain't going to hold. Hey Paul, thanks mate. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, you could torch the dies. Many interceptors? No, not really. Not too many. The giant wheel thing in the background, you mean that? That would be my biggest fan. Quite literally. That's a big old industrial fan. A gift from me, from Paul Fontanini, who just dropped into the stream. Did I say a gift from me? No, it was a gift to me from Paul. Yeah, it's, I can't remember how big it is. So, 30, no, it wouldn't be a 30 inch. You're gonna have to get the ruler out to measure it now. Made me wonder. It's a 21 inch fan. Big old metal blade thing. It's awesome. Megalomania. Well, you see, Alex isn't the Michael Cthulhu of Australia because obviously he doesn't make big stuff. He makes very, very little stuff. Is it also a plasma screen? No, unfortunately not. That would be very cool. No, at the moment, the Michael Cthulhu of Australia is Sausage Man, Jamie from Sausage Man Forge. He recently in a competition that we had, it was called the Destruction Challenge. Basically, you had to make 10-inch knife and chop some ice and stuff like that. It was a forged in fire kind of thing. But yeah, he had a little bit of fun. He has a giant axe that he made, very much in the Michael Cthulhu style. And yeah, he smashed some stuff with that. It was pretty funny. Can I forge weld it into a billet? No. No. Most of it is aluminium and copper. So no, you can't forge weld it into a billet. Although if my friend Alpha wants to melt down the copper from it when it dies, then he can. The steel screen? It might be, possibly. I don't know. It's painted, so yeah. I don't know. I'm not keen enough to strip the paint off the screen and then bundle it all up into a billet that I can then forge weld, because it seems like a waste of time, especially given that it was mild steel to begin with. So, if it is steel, I don't even know. Pyramid head. Yeah, fair enough. That big old Bowie knife. Which is basically what it is. It's a giant Bowie knife. Which one was that one, Matt? I haven't seen a lot of Alex stuff. It is only neat and tidy because Andy was here recently. Hardox 400, nice. Have I ever thought about folders ever? Yes, I have. I've made one folding knife, a friction folder, a while back. I would love to make a slip joint at some point. One of the best slip joint makers in the world, as far as I'm concerned, it lives about 2.5 hours south of me, and he runs classes on making slip joints. So I'm looking forward to one day doing a class with him and learning how to do it. One with brass in it. Okay, now you've definitely lost me. Slip joint pliers. Is that a thing? I don't even know if that's a thing. Yeah, it is convenient. Unfortunately, it's going to be a long time before I can afford a class with him. Forge welded brass into the blade. Right, so basically just brazed. Or did he make like a kumai with brass? Just give him a sword. He's a smith as well. I don't think he needs a sword. All right, Jared. Good luck, mate. Have fun that early in the morning. The kumai. Oh, so he made some brass kumai. That sucks. So that was good. Fuel and metal. I think he has more metal than he could ever need. Thing is, so Brahma, yeah, exactly. Alex and I have been making that joke for the last like 2 weeks, ever since Alex has been on this whole Kumai thing. I'm supposed to weasel my way into that. There's no way to weasel my way into it, unfortunately. I've got to pay him, which is, you know, that's how it works. He's a professional. He deserves to be paid for his work. Hey, Alex. How we going? We're just talking about you. Apparently, Alex Steele made some bra mai. Remembered this time. A little bit more. I don't think anyone can argue that the wells didn't hold. Now we're just trying to re-square the billet. Well, not quite re-square, going to octagonalize. Going to cut those corners. Back in the forge. But yeah, those welds held really nice. NG Mai. Yeah, not a gold. Yeah, maybe I should. Damascus, maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe so, Alex, maybe so. Should start charging him for all the ideas you give him. Wacky little thing. Yeah. Nah, she does fine. Actually, I should do what Murray Carter does and just hang a paint scraper from it. Hey Aaron, you know, you never know. Business is a dog-eat-dog world. That's right, Metal Man. We're at 12 hours, 15 hours, depending on where you are, ahead of you guys. Now, see, I've said that I'm not going to watch. I'm not going to watch Alex's video on how to make kumai until I forge my own. Now I can't watch Alex Steele's video either because that'll give it away too much. I don't know what I said with the goofy grin. I say everything with the goofy grin, so I suppose you can't take anything I say seriously. Seems like one hell of a coincidence. Yeah, it's true. dog eat dog world of business. Well, you know, whether or not you take my saying seriously doesn't really matter, because the fact is that business is incredibly dog eat dog. So that's octagonalized now. We can start drawing down the billet. Start turning it into some W's, or C's at this point, but crushed W's. It'll be my first crushed W's ever. And there's a good two and a half pounds there, so you should get a decent amount out of it. We're going to lose quite a bit to scale, and when I have to cut the bars, cut and stack the bars, but it's the sacrifice you make for Damascus. Very warm. It's almost like someone's been sticking some hot steel in them. Come on. I'll probably only get to draw this billet out today. Unfortunately, I have previous arrangements. It's my step-grandmother's memorial today. She passed away earlier this year while I was in Queensland, and I wasn't here for the funeral, so this is my opportunity to pay respects. That's all it does, Matt, is it changes the pattern. If you're making crushed W's, if you just squish straight down on the ends of the layers, you may get some cupping, but there's not a guarantee. Whereas if you squish the corners in, what you do is create a C shape, right? Like if you imagine the corners of the square getting squished in, then when you squash that down, those C's become more and more pronounced. And so then when you stack them together, you have these C's, which then become W's. If you squish straight down, there's a good chance that you could actually just squish them, literally just upset them straight down, and then all you do is be stacking lines on top of each other, and it just would look, you know, not good. So yeah, square, like taking those octagonal corners is important. Okay, hopefully you're all right there, Damascus. Thanks, guys. Yeah, it sucks. Like that whole period of the year sucked, to be honest. But yeah, fair enough. Glad to hear you're okay. Sucks that your nose bleeds every year. I'll be cutting and welding. I won't be folding. I'll probably draw this out into probably a 1/2 inch thick bar, 1/2 inch by about 1.25 inches, and then I'll cut, you know, it in 5 pieces or so, stack those, weld it. It's much faster, much more controllable than doing it with like the cut and fold technique. The cut and fold technique's great if you're trying to be traditional, But the thing is that unless you get your surfaces perfectly flat, and unless you're keeping your surfaces incredibly clean, there is a good chance that you're going to end up with weld delaminations. You're going to end up with problems. There is no significant advantage to cutting and folding unless you're doing gigantic billets under power hammers. But even then, for crush W's, it's just not advised. Yeah, my step-grandmother died earlier this year, Damascus. Today is her memorial. So I'll be going to that after this stream, which means I have to finish the stream in about 20 minutes. So we'll get as far as we can with what we've got. Yeah, well, you know, it's been coming for a while. She's been on palliative care for a while. She had emphysema, so it always sucks losing someone, but we had a lot of time to prepare. Should be. Alright, whoa, that's a little bit too far. The razor has not made any improvement since when last you saw it. Because, unfortunately, I have been busy doing else. Nor has the hammer that I was working with. I have not made any progress in the shed through the last week and a half, 2 weeks. Alright. Let us draw. Now, if there were any significant issues with my welds, I would have found out at this point. it would have let me know. But, nope, that's solid as a rock. And now, the pattern that used to be this way, is now this way. And we should have nice C-shaped pattern. You can actually see it. I'm not sure if you can be able to see it on the camera very clearly, but you can probably see the cupping of the sides of the pieces. So that's what we're looking for. We'll do a little bit more drawing out. Right now we're at about just over ½ an inch. Maybe 9/16. Oh, that sucks, Aaron. Yeah, no, it does really suck. So yeah, palliative care is basically where they're guaranteed going to die, and basically you're just trying to make them as comfortable as possible in preparation for their death. Yeah, palliative care basically means there's no treatment at this point. Yeah, I've had that question a few times, actually, Damascus. It's funny how common it is. When I have students come to the forge to learn how to blacksmith, they're always scared of holding the bar because they're worried that it'll be hot. But of course, if you're working with copper, it's a totally different story. Because no matter how long the bar of copper is, the end will always be hot if you're heating up the other end. That's why you always forge copper with tongs. Actually, one of the projects that I'm working on right now for a video for the channel is forging copper, so look forward to that. Out of this this piece of 20 mil round. I think it's 20 mil round. It's either 16 or 20. Oh, okay, maybe not. It's 22 and a half, so it's close to an inch. So nice big chunk of copper. No. Welding Gal 101. Yeah. Don't breathe in the fumes. Oh, the sunflower is starting to open. Awesome. We have a sunflower randomly growing. No, I didn't get it from Big Stack D. I Stack D. I already had that in my collection. I did get these from Big Stack though. These nice big pirate coins that Big Stack made for me as a thank you for those. Yeah, so these coins were from Big Stack. They're brass. I've also got a couple of copper coins from him. They're inside. Very cool dude, Dion. Very cool dude. And I have a lot of access to non-ferrous metals now because thanks to my friend Alpha and Alpha Smelting, he smelts all of my scrap copper, and I've got, you know, I got bars like this of pure copper, and I've got, you know, little ones like this for guards and stuff. We've also got aluminium and brass. There's this piece of brass that he made recently. Very shiny piece of brass. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely doable. I mean, the little tiny Devil Forge, we've got the 4. I think it's the 4. That thing can get up to copper melting temperatures at like 0.01 kPa. It's stupidly low. It's stupidly high efficiency. Very efficient. Sorry, I have to keep switching back and forth. Let's turn Preston on before we pull it out. There we go. It's long enough now that I can't get the whole thing in the forge. Want to get it to a relatively uniform thickness, because I'm going to then put it onto the flat dies, flatten it out in preparation for the next welding pass. Now, if I was clever, I would have stop blocks to tell me when I'm getting to thickness. But I'm not clever, nor do I have stop blocks. See, we're fairly even this length. Now I'm going to heat this section, forge that out. And unfortunately, I think that's going to be pretty much it for the stream today. My hand can definitely not work as a stop block. So the dies are a mixture of mild steel and 4140. The round part on top is 4140. The rectangular block beneath it is mild steel, and the plate that it's sitting on is mild steel. But the working surface is 4140. Hey Eric, how you going? Yeah, the Woots is going to be cool. Where are you getting your 01 from, man? Because I've got some 01 if you want. I haven't got a lot, but yeah, it was a piece of round. It was a piece of 50mm round, 4140. Ah, I always hate roof work. Oh, cool. Yeah, nice. I haven't been able to source 01 for forever. Yeah, well, you know, the common folk. The common folk don't understand. But yes, 2-inch round bar. I want to get some. I want to make some smaller fullering dies for it. Oh, nice. That's really good. I mean, I've got D2 as well, but I got that from Jared. No worries, Eric. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, I've got some D2 from Jared. I've got 52-100, 1084, 1095, 1520, and I got a bar of 01 round stock that I've had for forever. Oh, you mean the big wedge at the top of the die? This. So that is the original cutting head for the log splitter, and then we've just welded supports on in order to support the plate holder. See you later, Paul. Thanks for checking in, mate. $200 minimum order. Fair enough. Well, thank you. It's not an original idea, but yeah. So these are just half-inch solid supports that are welded along the sides and down the side of the frame bracket for the cutting head. And then, yeah, it's a full inch thick plate behind the die holders, which are just tack welded in place so that if any stress gets put on the pulling force, it's not going to pull the ram down. Instead, it's going to open these like leaves and the dies will just fall out. I'd much rather that the dies fail than the ram fails. The motor is 2-horse, single phase, 2-horse. And very quiet. Preston has been a lifesaver. Especially when it comes to making stuff like this, the really heavy stock moving. He makes it a dream. ready for flat dies. We'll true up this bar and then we'll be able to flatten it out and wait, I gotta check the time. Bugger. Oh well. That's all she wrote. Unfortunately, Damascus takes a long time to make, so that's why it costs so much. Plus, it's expensive materials. What size pump? Yeah, it's 2. I don't know, like, because the pump is, yeah, the pump is 2 horse motor. So yeah, it's the same thing. No, not 15 amp, 10 amp. But yeah, so anyway, that is the end of the stream. Unfortunately, I have to go get ready for the memorial. Yeah, this Damascus will this Damascus will end up being cut and restacked. I'll probably get 4 pieces, maybe 3, and then I'll have to restack it again. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it at this stage. I kind of want to do a feather. I kind of want to do some feather Damascus, but I haven't got any feather dies for the press yet, so we'll see. I'm tempted. We'll see, but it's going to be in my workshop for quite a while because I don't have, I have a whole bunch of projects that I need to work on before I work on Damascus stuff. But next live stream looks like, thanks to Metal Man, that I'll be doing some Damascus by hand instead of doing it with the machine. So you'll be able to see how that is approached. Yeah, should be fun. I look forward to it. But anyway, with that being said, I hope you all have a fantastic day. And make sure you get out to your workshops and do some fun stuff during the week. Hopefully I'll have video out by Wednesday. I know I said that last week and I didn't have a video this week, but that was because a whole bunch of stuff got in my way. I've got some stuff I'm working on right now that I'm hoping to finish this week. Well, I need to finish one of them this week, so that'll definitely be a thing. So yeah, stay tuned. Thank you very much for checking in. I hope you all enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something maybe along the way as well. This week's Forgecast episode is going to be amazing. It's actually one of the people from our community, someone who you've probably seen in the comment sections and stuff like that quite regularly. We had him on the show to discuss some very interesting topics. So make sure that you're tuning into the Forgecast on Spotify and iTunes. And make sure you follow me on Instagram and stuff like that for updates on that side of things. If you're interested in my engraving work and all of the stuff that I do in the cold work room, then go over to twitch.tv/SamTownsBladesmith and follow me there, because I'm doing all of my stuff via live stream. I stream like 4 or 5 days a week over on Twitch doing engraving. So if you're interested in seeing me do some engraving and maybe asking me questions while I'm there, please feel free to sign in there and check it out. It's free. You don't have to pay for anything, but, it helps me. If you follow me over there, I can get monetized on Twitch as well, and that helps with everything. So, yeah, with that being said, have you all a fantastic week. I will see you at least next Saturday, if not Wednesday, hopefully Wednesday. Anyway, guys, I'll see you later.